We at 221 South 52nd Street, Acaf. We got a special guest, Yah'Ki, today.
How you feeling, bro?
Likewise, we got the Coles, B. McFly's in the building.
Peace.
Yeah, so a very special episode today. You know what I'm saying?
Praises.
Yeah. So I just wanted to start by asking you, what's your thoughts on Acaf being here, first and foremost?
This powerful. What y'all doing for the community? They say art imitates life, and we know the structures and just the sacred geometry of certain shapes, man. I see y'all channeling a lot of ancestral, memory in here, man. This is powerful. And this is like a place that's cultural, so it brings people back to a foundation. You really don't get that in the hood. You know, if you walk around the hood, especially where I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, you see Chinese stores, we ain't from China.
At all.
You know, you see all these health beauty salons wearing hair that ain't a part of ours. So it's good to have something you can have your children self-identify with. So to me, this reminds me of a cultural identification portal. You know, So man, this is powerful. I'm glad y'all got this here, man. This is amazing, bro, for real.
Yeah, this is definitely have been the hub for so many years, like the beautiful Queen stated earlier, and we just happy to have you, man. The holistic leader, the powerful speaker, the entrepreneur, the black man, that's leading our community into victory. We honor you, brother. So I wanted to jump right in because you and I share similar backgrounds. Mm-hmm. You were raised by your grandmother.
Yeah, I was raised by my grandmother in a house of 18 people.
Oh, I thought it was 17. It was 18.
18 people.
And this was in Illinois, correct?
Yeah, I was born in Alton, Illinois. I ain't moved over into St. Louis, Missouri until I was 10.
Wow, man. So how was it growing up in a household of 17 family members?
It was tribal, man. It was very supportive. I mean, of course we fought and everything a lot, but it was it was tribe. You know what I'm saying? I just seen all the support. I wore all the hand-me-downs from my uncles and from my big cousins. I never wanted from nothing. I didn't even know we was poor until I got rich. So, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy, man. My grandma used to turn scraps into whole meals. Man, I just remember a lot of fighting, a lot of loving, a lot of hugging, a lot of crying, going to church. My mother was Muslim, so I was getting stretched between 4 different religions.
Right.
My uncles was Hebrew Israelites. My mama was a Muslim. My grandma, she was Christian. So, man, I had the best of all worlds in that house, man. And like I said, we didn't have nothing, but it was so much love in that house, and we made everything stretch so much that I really didn't even know we didn't have nothing until I really started going to school.
Well, before I pass it off to Rashawn, I just want to say you were raised under rich character.
Yeah. So
rich character oversees the quote-unquote poorness, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's a blessing.
Powerful.
So I wanted to ask you about your upcoming in St. Louis. I know, I heard a lot of stories about that city. I've never been there before.
Yeah.
I know it's very violent.
Yeah, it's the murder capital of the United States of America.
That's what I heard. So how was you raised when it comes to being in the streets, gangs affiliated, things like that?
Typical, man. You know, my father wasn't in my life like he was supposed to be. My uncles, all of them was gang leaders. So when I moved over, I was born in Illinois, but I've been back and forth. A lot of people don't know that Illinois and Missouri right next to each other. So I literally had to take a 10-minute ride and cross the bridge, and I was we call St. Louis the city. But man, I grew up. My mama was at work all the time. My father wasn't around, so that left me to the streets. So I was raised by gangs, man. Ended up getting jumped into the gang when I was probably 15, and I hit the ground running, man. I ended up being shot, stabbed. I got metal from here to here, and broke all my ribs. My knuckles displaced from fighting so much. So it was rough. The typical black man in the hood story.
Now you've been through it. I'm gonna ask you more about your gang culture because in Philly, we don't got gangs as St. Louis. So could you explain to somebody like myself, the type of gangs y'all have and how do you join the gang?
So in gang culture in St. Louis, the same as Illinois. You see a lot of Bloods and Crips in St. Louis, but the original gangs in St. Louis is GDs, BDs, Vice Lords. You know what I'm saying? The Almighties and stuff like that. But, even though I got jumped into a typical gang, we had our own gang called the Black Mob Street Gang, which was super big out there. Man, it was super big out there. But what's crazy is a lot of them brothers that's still alive now, and there's a lot that's dead and gone, but the ones that left over, man, a lot of them done changed their life over and now following the path to consciousness. So, yeah, so we more of of neighborhood gangs and street gangs based off of where you grew up at, and not like blood and Crip sets and stuff like. So it's basically, if we grew up together, we created a gang and we was banging with other families and other streets down the way.
Right. And is it a literature? I mean, I see certain games you gotta learn the literature to join.
Yes. It's still, you still got to know your lit. It's still morals. It's still cultural boundaries and sets. I mean, I don't think you can't really. Yeah, it's most definitely politics. I don't think you can even call yourself a gang unless it's organized. You can't organize something without writing it down. And whenever you write down something, it's going to create limitations and boundaries, which is going to make you write a little. Right. So yeah, we had all of that.
Okay.
So when you're speaking about gangs, right? And I don't want to, stick on this topic, but is prevalent to what's going on in the United States of America, right? Yeah. Especially dealing with Illinois, especially dealing with St. Louis. For some odd reason, like Rashawn stated, like we don't have typical gangs in Philadelphia. I don't know why. However, you say you didn't have a father around.
Yeah.
Did joining a gang give you some type of love, some type of bind, like growing up?
It did, but I mean, I look at it from more of a conscious aspect. Mm-hmm. If you look at, like, if you go into Africa, or if you study the ancient cultures of the Americas, the indigenous people just, I don't want to say globally, but worldwide, you notice that we are tribal people.
Correct.
So, transgenerational epigenetic inheritance is a real thing. It's these spontaneous epigenetics that is passed down through the generations from the ancestors. Mm-hmm. We started off as a tribal people. Mm-hmm. So when you don't have that tribe, and then me coming from a tribe of 18 people plus my grandma and my grandpa and my great-grandmother and stuff like that, when you feel alone, you're going to tend to you're going to yearn for what you know. And I'm known for being tribal. So I think, the gangs worldwide the way they are is because of our ancestor. Our genetic code has been passed down. It's in our DNA to be a part of a tribe. Mm-hmm. And I just think we use it in the wrong aspect now because, we used to tribe up for community. Now we tribe up, to basically do criminal activity for us to survive. But it's the same thing. So I never looked at the gang as a bad thing. I looked at it as being part of something because I always was a part of something. So that's crazy. I ain't got no gang activity out here like that, though.
We don't got gangs of Philly.
We have. Okay, so it's not the typical gang. Like you said, the GDs, like all of those things, the Bloods, the Crips. But you have people that come together.
Yeah,
it's more so like a block
like
thing.
Blocks and neighborhoods.
Blocks. It's like more like blocks, less than like over on the West Coast, even in New York or even in like Newark, New Jersey. Like a community will be like full of Bloods or full of Crips or something like that. Not saying that they don't beef and stuff.
It was
like
crazy
that.
Though. They didn't start off like that. The whole purpose and point of tribe or gang or clique is to survive the struggle. Like the Crips is community, revolution, and progress. Bloods, brotherly love over our oppressors. When you look at GDs, that's literally growth and development, or gangster disciples. You're being a disciple for something. When you look at vice lords, all these things were literally coalitions coming together to save the community from the police.
Nobody never broke that down.
You see what I'm saying? So when you really look at what gangs was, the fundamental principles of gangs, it was to come together as tribe to uplift the community. You don't start seeing gangs really get bad until you see the CIA start dropping off dope, crack cocaines, and Russian AK-47s into the streets of Los Angeles, or you see them start, selling alcohol and stuff in the streets of the black community. So gangs was initially to uplift the neighborhood and to protect it from the government. Wow. Then you see government infiltration in 1980 and 1982. Then you start seeing the crack epidemic by the CIA, and then you start seeing alcohols and all these different stores get put up in the communities. Then they deindustrialize black people working at the factories, and once they deindustrialized black people working at the factories and took the jobs from us, the only thing we had left over was crack cocaine, alcohol, and guns. So you start seeing the leaders of the community say, dang, well, my mama still gotta eat, my children still got to eat. My wife and my sister still got to eat. So they went to the things that the CIA put in the communities after they stripped all of our jobs from us. And then you see this creation of violence. People don't start off violent. We are naturally loving, caring people. Us speaking as black people, we naturally are nurturers. So to turn us that way, you have to literally shape and mold the environment for us to express those type of genealogies. And that's what happens. So, I don't want to shun gangs, I'm not in the gang no more, so I can't really speak on gang politics because that's against gang rules. I'm not a gangster. I'm not a thug. I'm not a killer. I'm a lover, and I love my brothers and sisters and my people. I'm here to keep us together. But I really can't say nothing bad about the thought of gangs because I know the purpose of the creation, and that was to uplift the black community.
Talk.
But before you get on that, I just want to ask you about Larry Hoover. I know he's like a big gang leader.
King Larry.
Do you think he ever come on?
No, man, he was too powerful. Man, his literature, his mind, he was thinking with both hemispheres of his brains. The way that that movement and what they created was powerful. The CIA made that violent. Larry Hoover is not a violent man. Did he do some things that I'm pretty sure that he regret and that's shunned upon? Of course, but we are all humans and we all have done that. And again, I want to speak for me and everyone. I'm not here saying it's good to have gangs. I'm not saying that. But the creation and what it was for, and if you read the literature of gangster disciples or growth development, and you see what he was doing and what he was trying to create, man, that was for rehabilitation. That was literally for us to reach our higher chakra. It wasn't for what we doing with it now. Right. So man, that man powerful. I don't think they're gonna let him out because they realize what's going on in Chicago and St. Louis and down south, because that's where most of the gangster disciples at. They let him out. And with the literature he have and that gift he have to bring people together in unity, I think it'll solve a lot of the black on black crime and violence that's going on in the communities worldwide. And they need that to keep going for us to be consumers and pay them, because prison is big business, and without prisons, the government don't make money to push their politicians. So I think if you let him out, he'll crumble the system.
I got you. You're going to unify everything.
Yeah, so they're gonna keep him locked up.
Are you conscious now? You feel me? You're in health journey now. So I'm gonna ask both of y'all this question because B. McFly was in jail too as well. So how did that change your life? Being in prison, being in jail.
Prison was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because I wasn't gonna make it, man. Like I said, I was getting shot up, stabbed, robbing, shooting. If you look at my crimes, they was very violent crimes. But again, I grew up around violence. So prison was my first stop. Prison was my first stop of me really looking in the mirror, self-reflecting, like, man, this ain't right. And then after I got out and I had that heart attack, that was that second one. They didn't take 3 for me. Prison and then having that heart attack. I'm like, oh no.
Where the heart attack come from?
The heart attack. I used to drink a pound. I used to drink a fifth of liquor every 2 days. I was smoking a pack of Newport Shorts a day. I was smoking like 20 blunts a day. And I'm not. People be like, you exaggerating. No, I really was. I was doing this every day, and I was snorting cocaine.
So you and I, not to cut your wisdom, you and I have a similar background.
Yeah.
Because I also went to jail. I didn't go to prison, but I went to jail. But I've been shot, been cut, and I was taking a lot of opioids.
Yeah, I was stabbed from here to here. I almost died of eternal bleeding, man.
Yeah, and see, a lot of people think, well, you get on these drugs based on you just want to. No, sometimes it comes from injury. When I got shot, I was in the hospital for a week. Doctor never told me anything about Percocets.
Yeah.
He just said, take this every 6 hours or as needed. And when the first time I took it, I got addicted to it for 14 years of my life. So I see how that right there, because I wanted to die from an overdose. I was taking, if I could afford it, I was probably taking about 15 30s a day, if I could afford it.
Yeah, see, my issue was this. I was already getting so high, and then I was selling a bunch of cocaine. And the high wasn't doing nothing for me. I was trying to escape who I was, running from me. And I seen how it made everybody else feel around me. And it took one line, man. One line turned into 300,000 lines, basically. And that last line, man, it took me down, man. I almost died.
So when you went to prison, that's when you stopped everything?
No. So the crazy part is this. I didn't start snorting cocaine until I got out of prison.
Oh. Okay.
And mind you, I'm in prison. I'm telling God, if you let me out, I ain't gonna be no whore no more.
My goodness.
I had a list. My mama sent me a preacher's Bible. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
My mama sent me a preacher's Bible when I was locked up. Mind you, my uncle was a Hebrew Israelite. So they always tell me, you a Jew, you an original Hebrew Israelite, you the chosen seeds of God. Man, I ended up learning fluent Hebrew. I speak fluent Hebrew, write and read fluent Hebrew, man. Like, I was really deep into the culture. But I didn't get deep into it until I got locked up, and my mama had mailed me a preacher's Bible. Man, I still got that preacher's Bible till this day. I got all type of broken promises to God up in there. You get me out, I ain't doing this no more. Man, I got the tripping, but God heard me, and I knew it was a calling on my life. Seen them doing lines, running from myself, couldn't get no job because I had violent crimes on my record. I have an addictive personality.
Me too.
That's why I love to read and knowledge. So, man, well, like I said, one line turned into about 300,000, man. I had that heart attack, man, and that changed my life.
Well, you know what, man? God bless your soul, man.
All praise.
And all praises. And I tried to commit suicide, and you know what? It didn't work. I used to beg God to kill me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm no good here.
Yeah.
And when I had to go to rehab. Mm-hmm. So after jail, whatever, I went to rehab, and then it's on from there. So I just want to say thank you.
All praise, man. My rehab was the heart attack. That was my rehab.
Okay, got you.
I
was trying that. I was trying.
I was literally. Have you ever seen them Scared Straight episodes?
Yep.
I was scared straight. I remember waking up in the hospital bed, and my mama had my daughter, my oldest daughter at the time. And she put her in my face, and she like, "Is this what she crying? Is this what you want?" And I'm crying back, and I'm like, "No, it's not what I want." So I had left the streets then. I was just still snorting cocaine. Right. You know what I'm saying? And that man, it took me down. It got me. I was sitting in that hospital bed in a cold room. I remember somebody flatlining next door. Flatlining, dying. I don't even know what they died of. And I'm just like, man, that could be me. What am I doing? At that specific moment and purpose, I said, I want to live.
Peace, love, light and healing. Peace, love, light and healing. Peace to the gods, peace to the earth. Yah'Ki awakened here. We're in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, the city of boxing, the city of freedom fighters, the city of all this black historical monumental history, or her story, whichever one you want to call it. Make sure y'all come out July 30th at the world famous Met Philly at 858 North Broad Street. See y'all there.
Ask you about, you talked about like your drug history. How about your diet? What was your diet like before you got health conscious? What
so
did you eat back in the day?
I was real deep into the Hebrew Israelite movement. So lamb, goat, bison. I never was a chicken eater for real because I always knew my mama was Muslim, so I always knew chickens was fake. I always knew pork was not, can't go in the man's temple. So and I didn't eat beef for real. So it was lamb, bison, and goat. I used to eat a lot of that, whole lot of that. And I never was really a fast food eater too. I was in so much trouble and I had so many enemies, so you couldn't catch me lacking. You weren't finna catch me in no McDonald's line or catch me inside of a fast food restaurant. So that's what I ate, man. It was unhealthy though, and I used to drink a whole lot, man. And I was into the Kool-Aid when I was younger, putting a pound of sugar.
Talk about it.
Man, eating Chinese rice with MSG in it. So your typical so-called black man's meal, you know what I'm saying? But I never ate pork in my life that I know of, because again, my mama had followed a certain religion. And I never really liked the chicken because I always used to hear my uncles and them talk about how it was fake and how it was genetically modified and it was forged, made from two different birds.
So what's your diet like now? What do you eat on a day-to-day basis? Like
90% fruit, 10% cooked. I would say vegan, but I'm not a vegan because I eat honey, so plant-based. So, but 90% of my diet is raw fruits. The other 10% is your regular vegan stuff. Your regular so-called vegan, except the honey, because I do love me some Manuka honey.
So vegan, so honey and vegan.
So since honey is produced by bees. So since it comes from an animal,
okay, got
you can't call it vegan.
Okay, gotcha. You know what? That's deep. I never.
So I'm a plant-based.
I don't know if anybody else ever thought of that, but like I never even thought of it like that either.
So I don't eat meat. I don't eat dairy. I grow a lot of my own food. I'm into farming, agriculture, permaculture, and electroculture. But I do travel a lot. So when I'm traveling, if I can't find no good raw fruits, thank God for Sarah. She be hooking me up with the best fruit place when I come out here.
Okay.
And then, I do travel with a crew that they eat fruit like me, but they like to dibble and dabble in creation too. So I'm not like one of these extremists out here, but I do keep a very, very high fruitarian diet though.
Nice.
And a lot of people compare to Dr. Savior a lot here. So, what's your thoughts on him, man? How you feel about the comparisons?
Man, it's an honor to be compared to the late great Dr. Savior. I like to bow my head and give him a moment of silence. To be honest with you, But man, that's amazing, man. That was a gatekeeper. He was a light worker. He was a healer. I don't have nothing but positive things to say about the late great Dr. Savior. Yeah.
when did, because I know we spoke on Dr. Saber, but when did the transition, and I don't think you spoke about the transition.
2009, caught the heart attack. 2009. They released me from the hospital, end up going home. As I'm sitting home, I end up accidentally kicking over my medicine. I was on, I had hypertension, very, very high blood pressure.
Yeah.
But you know the cocaine do that to you.
Yeah, I do.
So I had, my blood pressure used to be 250 over 102, you know. So,
wow,
yeah,
your hair today, vertical.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was taking hypertension medicine, couldn't get an erection.
Right.
Mind you, I'm young than a mug, can't even have sex because of all of the side effects.
Yeah.
My kidneys was not functioning properly. My liver wasn't functioning properly, and I had scar tissue on my heart, and I had diabetes. And I literally had vertigo, where I had these different types of spots in my skin where melanin was being extracted from my skin, going to other extremities of my body to help heal those areas. And mind you, I'm 5'5". Y'all see me, I'm pretty short. I weighed 260 pounds. So I was fat, short, black, and sick. Sick, man. So I ended up getting home from after I had the hospital, sitting down, kicking my medicine over, and looking at the medicine. I'm like, man, I don't want to take this no more. I'm young. I don't have no life in me. My kidneys failing. I'm dying. And I'm like, I can't keep taking the medicine because even though I wasn't reading like that back then, I felt the side effects of the medicine, of the pharmaceuticals messing up my body.
Yep.
One of the side effects was what we love to do when we young men. We love to make love.
Yeah.
And I can't even do that. So, man, I'm on YouTube Googling ways to cure erectile dysfunction, natural ways to get your penis hard, how to get rid of scar tissue on your heart, recovery from heart attack naturally. And this Caucasian man, this Anglo-Saxon that came up. And, you know, I couldn't really feel his vibe and how he was talking. But YouTube have a suggestion screen after a video. And Dr. Sadie popped up, man, a skinny, tall, bald-headed man with a gray beard, with the crazy accent, talking about he heals sickle cell, anemia, leukemia, and I'm like, this nigga is lying. That's what I said. I said that. So then I kept listening to him, man, and everything he said, I was feeling it. It's a difference to when you hear information and you able to, you know. Some people hear stuff and they get the intellectual part, but then you get people that don't speak the intellectual, but you feel they soul.
Yep, I got you.
I felt him, man. Man, it was like, for real, about 47, 48 hours later, I didn't blink an eye, man. I was woke for 2 days straight watching all of his videos. And I just got so addicted to the information. I'm like, man, I'm finna heal myself. So I ended up calling everywhere. Every number he had, I wrung it off the hook. And I finally got in contact with Fig Tree. I believe I'm saying that right, in New York with my eye. Ended up talking to one of her assistants, ended up talking to my eye, and I'm like, look, this what's going on. Could you help me out? Could you give me some ingredients? And she didn't give me the ingredients to her, because I wanted to know her ingredient. I'm like, no, he said you was the healer. That's what he said. He's like, my eye's the healer. So I'm like, what's your ingredient?
Right.
She didn't give me her ingredients, but she gave me some main herbs. So I started studying the main herbs. I said, you know what? I'm finna take a herbology course. So I took a herbology course. In the middle of my course, I bought the herbs that my eye told me I should get. And then I bought some more herbs from the course that I was taking. I ended up making my own formula. And I went on a juice fast for 128 days.
Wow.
Nothing but juice. I'm lying. I did mess up probably twice. And whenever I ran out of juice and couldn't afford juice, I did spring water. But most of it was nothing but juice, man. I ended up losing so much weight. I was 260 pounds. I went down to 143 in 2 weeks. I was as lively as I ever been in my whole entire life. So I ended up going back, man. I ain't had diabetes no more. I ain't had no more scar tissue on my heart. My kidneys was functioning 100%. My liver had went down. Everything regulated itself, and I was healed. I'm like, dang, I got the formula. I healed myself, and my mama was like, wow, try it on me, because my mama had high blood pressure. My grandma, so high blood pressure ran through my family. So I just went through my family healing everybody of everything.
Yo, for the viewers out there, this man's skin is clear. I'm talking about you got great skin over here, man. So everything he's saying is, you can see it. The results is here.
Yeah, so end up healing my mama, healing everybody in my family, and from that it spilled out to the gang members. So, you know, started healing people in my gang. Then, you know, that went crazy in the streets. Next thing I know, I was healing the whole St. Louis. And then I started getting phone calls from athletes and from celebrities. And that's when it really blew up. I started getting these major phone calls. So, you know, shots, even though celebrities don't post me like they should, because we, Nabi is a witness, we work with so many of them, so many pro athletes. They act like they scared to really post me.
Yeah.
But man, that word of mouth that they did is what really took off for me.
Well, before I just wanted to say this, right? I want to give you this shirt. I don't want to kill you. I want to heal with you. I think this is powerful for you because you're a healer, right? And I don't want to kill you mentally, emotionally, financially, spiritually. This is perfect for you. It's a large though, you know what I'm saying? I know you, but this is for you, man. Thank
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. That's dope. Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, I like it. I see you rocking yours too. I wore because I thought you was going with it. Oh, praise. No, most definitely.
Nah, I normally have black, but I ain't have black. That's cool.
See, I love that black.
Yeah, I know. I'm like,
I ain't gonna turn down no gift from my brother, man. I'm gonna rock that. Yeah, it's all I wear.
So I wanted to ask you, in the communities, our supermarket's not the healthiest. So like, what's your future goals
to create self-sustaining communities, teaching us how to grow our own food, whether you in a food desert, whether you in a place that have a lot of acreage and land, whether your soil is stripped of all the mineralization, literally teaching people how to revitalize the soil and how to plant your own seed and cultivate your own land and grow your own food. We believe from soil to table. If it's any other process between that, we try to stay away from it as much as possible. You know what I'm saying? So the best way to stop that is teaching people how to literally cultivate their land, and that's where culture come from. Culture actually come from cultivation. Culture means to grow. So if a person's culture is not growing them mentally or growing them spiritually or growing them physically, then we need to revamp the culture. So not only do we need to revamp the culture of the so-called black man, but we need to revamp the cultivation of our soil and teach people basic skills of farming. We used to have that in us from youth, and now we getting further and further and further away from it. So that's what we're trying to bring back to the communities, just that hands in the soil, planting your seeds, watering it, going through that process of patience, and then yielding from your hard work. That's the best thing, and that's the first way to freedom too. The first step to freedom is actually seed sovereignty. If you're growing your own food, if you have your own water on the land, if you own your own land, and if you're not to build a house, then do you got to pay any bills?
No.
So what you need to go to work for? And that's where we really start teaching people that. It's the whole thing is to get you from a 9 to 5, and people are, because that's everybody's excuse. Well, I need to pay my bills. What happened if you're right. So what happened if I create an environment for you don't have no bills to pay? Then what would be your excuse? So that's the whole thing, is really teaching people food sovereignty.
When do you see like us like living like that? Like how many years in the future?
I'm living like that right now. So
like us as a community,
as a whole, I see if more brothers come teach the same message, we build up this army like I'm trying to build up. Man, I can see this happening within the next 10 years.
10 years?
Even if I'm not around to see it, I got so much work out here and so many videos, and I'm writing one of the dopest books in history. I think it'll happen soon. I just think we need to really push, culture, literature. We need to make reading fundamental. We need to make reading attractive, like how they like to listen to their favorite rappers. We need to create that same currency and that same energy for people reading books, for people, building their own house. We need to start teaching skills again. We lost skills. Don't nobody want to learn trades no more. Everybody want to be a rapper or be in the street, gang bang, or athlete, and then a bunch of, or talk and do podcasts. Ain't nobody really in the streets, knocking door from door, or whatnot, say grassroots, like they used to do it back in the day to spread the good word. And a lot of people don't know how to grow their own food, man. Like we did a test. I didn't watch people walk past apple trees and say they will not eat it because it might be poisonous, but then we'll go to the grocery store and get a chemically sprayed apple and eat that when you could have got it fresh from off the tree. So like we have been so bamboozled in our minds and all of these subliminal programmings, we are literally trained to hate what heals us and we love what kills us.
Yo, they say it starts in the mind, but a lot of times it starts in the gut as well, which is
the mind.
The mind.
The gut is the first brain.
The gut is the first brain. I speak about education, right, and the public school to prison pipeline, and I know that we can't knock on every door and say, this is how you're supposed to raise your child. This is what you should do. However, we can get them at school.
Yeah.
Everybody can't afford private school, and it's not going to happen overnight to just say we want to build our own schools and let them teach, and we're going to teach them from there. How do we push the narrative inside the public school system?
Get the rappers.
Okay.
It's time to start going after the rappers.
You hear that, right?
And forgive me for my language, but
Talk.
we need to start holding these niggas accountable.
You better talk.
For what they saying and all the hatred and all of the drugs that they pushing and fueling in the black communities. I used to tell because I've been lecturing and doing this for a long time now, and I used to always say it's the schools. We got to pull them out of the schools. It's the public school system. Even though that is putting a major dent in our people's progression and culture, the true school that they going to is YouTube, Spotify, television, and them MP3 players, them listening to all of these rap videos. So the new school is the music industry.
Correct.
That's the new curriculum, and that's the new grading. So based off of how many raps you know, and if you living off the raps that you listening to, that's how they grading each other in the hoods now. So if we can get to the rappers, and that's what I do, that's why I have so many of them, and I'm constantly on them. I'm arguing up with, these are my witnesses, my Jay and now B. I'm arguing with rappers all day. We're arguing over Bible verses. We arguing over what you just said.
Wow.
You got millions of followers. How about you just say this? You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't matter just in this one line. You can talk about whatever you want to talk, but throw them for a loop this time. Talk about eating healthy. Talk about doing this. Talk about doing that. So if we stop our children from fueling the lifestyle, I bet you they'll change the lyrics. Because right now, that is the number one enemy to our young black children is the gangster rap music or this drug head junkie bass music that they putting out. Every song you listen to, you popping Molly's, you popping X, you put Molly's and X in women's butts and drinks and all types of stuff. So we see what's molding and shaping the frontal lobe of our people. It's the music, but it makes sense because we are very vibratory people and we resonate at a certain frequency due to the content of the melanin that's in our body. We are a very spiritual chosen people. So when we hear that rhythmatic frequency, we automatically get in tune to it. And what we do is we done came up with a way to say, well, I don't like the lyrics, I like the beat.
I like the melody.
Yeah, I like the melody, but you listening to the lyrics. And how I know you listen to the lyrics is how you acting out these lyrics. And we know that art imitates life.
It's a psychological warfare. And like you said, Malcolm X said, our athletes are, no disrespect to any of the athletes, but most of them are puppets.
Yeah. Right?
You have these athletes and you have these rich people. They will put something in the community, but it's not. It's more so like, okay, but I'm giving you a job. I'm giving the community jobs, right?
Yeah.
However, it's still a monetary gain.
Yeah.
And I just feel like if we understand that the prison system, it costs about $43,000 to $48,000 to house a prisoner.
Yeah.
It costs about $8,000 to $11,000 to teach a kid in a public school.
Yeah.
Peace, love, light and healing. Peace, love, light and healing. Peace to the gods, peace to the earth. Yah'Ki awakened here. We're in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, the city of boxing, the city of freedom fighters, the city of all this black historical monumental history or her story, whichever one you want to call it. Make sure y'all come out July 30th at the world famous Met Philly at 858 North Broad Street. See y'all there.
Prison is real estate.
Of course.
Man, if you look, and it's modern day slavery too.
Of course.
If you look at what they making off of us, man, it is worse than slavery, brother. It's another form of slavery. And then if you look at the basic blueprint model of schools, and you look at the same one with prisons, it's the same way. You have a lunchroom where you have to stand in line.
Yep.
You got the school bus. You got the prison bus.
You got the uniform.
You got the uniform.
Yep.
You got to sit in the cubicles and their desk style in classrooms.
How
you
to
got
transition the bell.
You got the dean. Like, it is prison. And what's crazy, if you look at ancient America and ancient African traditions of schools, it didn't even work like that. For instance, if you go to Africa right now, in Africa right now, at 12 years old, they graduate through their rites of passage. It take us literally 12 grades and we graduate at 16 and 17. Where it's a 12-year-old in Africa right now, they get their rites of passage at 12 and they know how to take care of the household. They know how to go hunt, provide, produce. They know how to be proactive and they can lead a whole community. So even what we being taught and the curriculum that's being taught to us is not enough to sustain us and to push us forth through this evolutionary process of consciousness that we're going through. And Dr. Amos Wilson, he said it best. He said true education to a people is basically solving the necessary needs to a group of the community. So education is this: police brutality. So we need to be learning how not to get beat by the police, or if a police put our hands on us, how to basically de-escalate the situation, whether it be forcefully or not. We need to be taught these type of things. That's education. It ain't mathematics. It ain't reading and trigonometry, things that we're not going to use. We see that the community is lacking clothes and lacking substance. That's why they robbing people. So let's figure out programs to give people in the community clothes. Let's figure out a way to make them work. That way they'll be less likely to rob you. You know what I'm saying? We see that STDs is high in the community, and condoms is high too. Negroes buying condoms, but still getting STDs. What's the correlation with that? So how about we teach our young men to make sure that you're not sleeping with a woman until you know her through every season? How about we introduce courtship back into the community? See, that's real education. Education is not learning history. That's history. It's a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? Education is learning who you are, your biology, your genetic disposition, your geographical location, and where your ancestral line come from, and then teaching those cultures and traditions and customs, and you growing up through that rites of passage. That way you can have a self-identifying marker. We don't know who he is. We don't know where we come from. We don't know our cultures and traditions. So what they're doing is we have a people that's sitting back creating a culture, creating a tradition, creating a diet, creating how sex is supposed to go, and we living through another people's mind. Dr. Lalela Africa said the craziest thing that made so much sense to me. He said we are out of our mind and we're in a European mindset. So it's time to get back in our right African mind or indigenous American mind, whichever one we want to identify. We all family. And I think once we really do that, that's the first step to true liberation and freedom.
I wanted to ask you, you talked about rappers. What music you listen to? Or what? Somebody listen to J. Cole, people like that.
Man, I love J. Cole.
Yeah,
so let me put that out there. I'm not talking about all rappers.
Right.
I'm just talking about rappers that push the violent agenda and the drug dope head agenda all the time. You got some dope rappers out there, but I love J. Cole, but I love conscious music. It's a brother named Free Soul.
And even in my darkest of days, I'm abundant in love and light.
He's conscious and he's dope. Another brother named D-Rock.
I done damn near lost my mind. You cannot hold me, I control the time.
Man, you got some Philly brothers that go hard too with the conscious.
Like in Philly.
Old school Freeway, of course. You know what I'm saying? Freeway.
Okay.
I used to be a big fan of Cassidy. Cassidy pretty dope.
Yeah, my man Del P, man. Shout out to Del P. Del P, you know, you got to tap him.
I got to check him out.
Yeah, he's conscious, like super conscious, man. So
I like conscious music.
Yeah, Del P is.
But don't get it twisted though, man. I'm spontaneous. I turn on some rock and roll on you real quick too, like some different stuff. You got Coldplay.
Everything come from us anyway.
The blues, rock and roll, all of this come from us.
All of this come from us, man. So you're not like going against anything. All of it come from us, man.
I actually thought I was gonna be a rapper, man. I'm real good at it too, man. I was doing rapping before I actually got locked up.
Man, spit some bars, man.
I learned my lesson many years ago that your friends turn foes. They a cracking they fold once that pressure take hold. Nigga, you ain't know that them bitches turn hoes. They step on your toes to get ahead. Learned my lesson many years ago that your friends turn foes. They a cracking they.
We gonna tap in.
Forgive me for the stuff I did 2009 and before, man. That was my old life.
Man, please, let me tell you, 2018 and back, January the 21st, if you talk about January 20th and back, 2018, forgive me. Being positive is like, it seems like it shows a sign of weakness in the black community, right? You know, because especially us as black men, we were raised to be spoiled warriors. I feel like if we don't get our way, now it's time to turn into aggression mode, right? And I feel like in our community, it's aggression, sex, food, and drugs.
That's called the reptilian brain.
Okay.
Fight or flight, survival mode, thinking with your root chakra.
Right. And I wanted to know, like, do you get that, you're doing too much, you're messing up the culture, or you're not, like, you're just, do you get that? Because I get that a lot.
I don't get that. What I get is people people are projecting. They be like, you only in it for the money.
Okay,
Or,
okay,
so
get into that. Get into that. Get into that.
Or that nigga's an agent. It's like I'm an agent, but I'm feeding my community. I give away thousands and thousands of seed monthly. I give away hundreds of thousands of dollars monthly to the community. I'm like, I'm an agent, okay. But I get stuff like that, or he in it for the money. He didn't change. I really don't get but I understand emotional intelligence too.
I do too. I'm learning. I'm learning.
You know what I'm saying? And I understand a lot of people. You can't truly judge or blame people that don't even know. They don't even know their true identity. Because without identity, you don't have a purpose, and without purpose, you don't have a mission.
I don't mean to cut your wisdom, I swear, but I want to get this out.
Yeah.
Can you tell our people the importance of paying our people when they're doing a service? Because, like you just said, it's like our people is expecting the people that they look up to, or the leaders, or whatever the case may be, the public speakers, the motivators, the healers, to just do it for free.
I'm not doing it for free. I do enough for free. And this is my intellectual property, and literally, I read 5,000 books a year, and I'm into clinical trials. I got my own clinics. We built our own laboratory. I got 2 herbal stores. I'm traveling around. I have a whole tribe of children. I have wives to feed. So I will be stupid and everything on my YouTube is the reason why I'm sitting here is because y'all watch free stuff I did. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Talk.
So if I'm doing all of that, if I'm gonna organize something and bring something forth, and I have a product to sell, of course I'm gonna charge for that. All my knowledge for free, but you gotta pay for a product. Come on, man.
Thank you.
We in corporate America.
Thank you.
And a lot of people think that most of my millions actually come from herbs, and they don't. You know what I'm saying? I'm a millionaire for being an entrepreneur. It don't even have really nothing to do with my herbs. I do this out of the kindness of my heart because I love to heal, and that's my mission and purpose. So I just think people be projecting, and there be a bunch of jealous people out here because they're emotionally unintelligent, and they're mad because you figured it out. But what's crazy is they talk about you for trying to teach them how to figure it out instead of us. They want you to give them something instead of showing like, no, this how I do it the same way, you will meet the same outcome. Our people just got a handout, but again, it's due to the government, it's due to the lack of nutrients in the food, the lack of sunlight, the lack of oxygen to the cells, and the lack of cultural identity. So I really can't blame us as a people. Wow. I blame the creative environment that we have been forcibly put into.
Yeah, I got so many questions for you, but I did want to ask you, Ben McFly was speaking about this too. The young boy who killed the guy from punching on his mom. Yeah. I'm going to get your opinion. I think young boy did the right thing.
I'm going to keep it 100 with y'all. And forgive me if I sound biased. You hit my mama, you dying. So there it is. You're not going to put your hands on my mama. I don't care if you white, black, blue, purple, or brown.
So can I, so I like we got devil's advocate, but I want to be an angel's advocate. And I don't think we're used to being angel. We're not used to that term angel's advocate. It's proactive and it's reactive, right? And I feel like
that was a very reactive. That was a very, very reactive state. That was not proactive.
But
if you assess that situation, and he was there, he seen it. He seen that. For one, dude was way taller than him. Mm-hmm. He was very super aggressive. He was so aggressive, he put it on his dead grandma that, and I'm not knocking him, RP to that brother. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, that's another future soldier that's supposed to be fighting this war with us that's gone. But he chose to fight on the other side and go against the black goddess when the black goddess is supposed to be rightfully set back on her throne anyway.
I agree.
Then you done hit this man mother. He's scared half to death. He taller, he got veins popping, he aggressive. He repeatedly punching his mother. Then you see other black older males running away from the situation.
I agree.
When they're supposed to be de-escalating the situation. So you got a 14-year-old black boy seeing his mama being harmed, dude way bigger than him, the other elders that's around him bigger than him. He see them running out the store while this black woman is getting beat to a pulp. He know where a gun at. He want to save his mama.
And I agree to that.
So I applaud that young boy.
I applaud him too.
Now, and I do want to say this though. It is a damn shame a life had to be taken, especially one of ours.
And I agree to that too.
I appreciate that little brother for standing up and protecting his mother by any means necessary. He came from that goddess's womb. That is his duty and position to protect her with his life, and that's exactly what he did. And I can't be mad at him for it.
And I'm not mad at him either, right? I'm not being combative. Everything that you said is totally right. But I like to watch the game from the first quarter as opposed to fourth quarter.
I love that.
That was fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was. It was.
That was it's like we always watch the game at the fourth quarter. Being proactive to me is, as a parent, I would not never put my child in that position to have to do that. Now, we all say things like, well, why do the woman got to walk away? Why the man shouldn't have walked away?
Oh,
but
I agree with you, though. I don't think no woman should be back talking a man anyway, period, on no circumstances. For one, we are way stronger than them. And for two, you do have grown men that are still adolescents and babies in a mindset.
And mentally gone.
You see that? So I agree with that. I mean, I think that she should have walked the other way. But if you look at the video, dude was an aggressor, man.
Well, he did give her again, and I don't want nobody.
Like, he wanted to hit her.
He wanted to.
He said,
definitely
this is
did.
exactly what he said.
And
He said, say one more thing on my grandma, I'ma knock you out.
That's what he said.
He wanted, and then the whole time he doing this, like he was the aggressor at the moment.
I just feel like I know a lot of. I've been black all my life.
I hope you have, bro.
I've been black all my life, right? And I've been and I grew up around black people.
Yeah.
And I have never seen the aggressor be. I've never seen the aggressor be rationalized.
Yeah.
Like it's always the person that's a little bit more calmer. And my whole thing is this with women. I tell women all the time because I've seen a lot of women get their boyfriend, their son, their homies locked up or dead because they didn't want to walk away or they wanted to go back and forth.
They're going a lot in St. Louis. You see a lot of murders been taking place over a female.
And it's like, I just wish the young woman, to me, that young man did everything he was supposed to do as a son, as a protector, as a man. But I'm jumping to the first quarter. It was enough time when you're living in the hood, yo, listen, this man is crazy. I'll get that food later.
So what we missing? We missing true education.
We missing true education.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
We need elder or eldest and priestess women out here, you know, really getting on the women head and showing them how to conduct themselves around men. Not only that, personally, if it was in my perfect brain and how a community supposed to look, she wouldn't have been there because she'd be in the fields getting together with the man harvest. So like it wouldn't even be a place for her to go buy some chicken and some French fries.
How about that? Let's get into that. Let's talk about that. Like, so it's like, I love that you said that because it again, we gotta stop watching a game in the fourth quarter and watch the warm up, watch the tip off, first quarter all the way through. So I agree with you on that.
So first step for that situation was we need to learn emotional intelligence.
Absolutely.
Through learning emotional intelligence for yourself, you can start seeing before people even say something to you what they own. You know, me and my boys, we walk in the store just off person words and energy. We know, no, I don't care what was here. Let's turn around and go back.
Absolutely.
You know, that's the first thing we need to have. That women have lost that intuitiveness. You know, when it comes to men, and I believe it's the food, it's the culture, it's the television programming, and men
running away.
And men have lost that natural protective, you know, instinct that he's supposed to have for the so-called black woman. So, man, I just think we all healing, bro, and we all mentally sick, and we all need to be set down, and we need to be retaught how to live life and how to self-identify with us, customs, and culture. And I think the first thing we need to learn is emotional intelligence, because your whole life is dictated upon your belief, traditions, and emotions that molds and shape your reality. And that wouldn't have never happened if we knew that, and if that lady was taken care of how she's supposed to be, and they didn't even have a fast food restaurant that's killing the community anyway. To go inside of when it never took place. So you know, this healing ain't just about herbs, man.
I know.
And they don't call it food for thought for nothing. It's what you put in your mind first before you put something in your mouth, man.
Talk, man. I mean, all praises.
Yeah, so I want to ask you about marijuana, the health benefits of marijuana, and also the industry now.
So marijuana is powerful. It's very, very good for the cells. It's good beta blockers. It's good to actually revitalizing the cells. It tones the cells. It strengthens the cells, and it open up what you would call NRF2 pathways of the cells, and it even kicks on glutathione. So marijuana is a self-rehabilitating plant. The problem is with any type of food. The moment you put fire to it, you change the molecular structure and it becomes a chemical. And whenever you put a chemical in the body, there's a byproduct of it. And the byproduct of marijuana is not only cytoestrogen, but it's tar, it's a bunch of carbon monoxide and all types of things that you don't need inside of your body. So it's good when you use it as a tea form or if you use it as an edible, but the moment you put a flame to it and you wrap it up in whatever we rolling it up in and you smoke it, not only is you killing the neshama, the ruach hakodesh, what they call the spirit of the body, and that's real spirituality. It's the practice and the perfection of the breath. So you killing your spirit because you are tainting your spirit with the blowback and the byproduct and the smoke of the marijuana when you burn it. Not only when you burn it, you change the molecular structure, so you yield high amounts of what you would call phyto or cytoestrogen, which is bad for man anyway, because it makes you put on visceral fat, and it changes the way that your actual opioid receptors react to your reality. It messes that up. It burns brain cells. It literally burns brain cells, and again, you change the molecular structure. Now, back then, smoking weed, was it all that bad? No, because we didn't have hybrid weed. We didn't have bubble kush and all of this other stuff with different names on it that we can't name that didn't have seeds in it. You know, now if you have seeds in your weed, you broke, you smoking on Reggie. Back then, having seeds in your weed, meaning your weed and your marijuana was organically grown from the field, and it didn't have herbicides, insecticides, and pesticides sprayed on it. So I say weed is a perception. It's all about how you choose to look at it. You either can take the light way out and know, basic biochemistry and fundamentals of biochemistry and use it as a tea concoction to heal the body and to relax the nervous system, or you can put a flame to it, change the chemical molecular structure, and face the consequences of having lung disease and a smaller brain from dehydration later on down the line. It all depends on how you really want to look at it. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So talk about like why you think they legalized marijuana? Why do you think the government did that?
Money, of course. So everybody think it was for like this big spiritual psychological shift that's coming. I don't think it's that. I think, they seen, hold on, niggas ain't finna stop smoking weed.
Right.
Matter of fact, when I look at the statistics, they smoking it more.
Right.
The government like, hold on, let's get in on it. Because notice the regulations that they do once they legalize it. You got to have a card. You can't have a felony. You got to do this. All these different regulations, and it don't benefit us. Smoking weed do not benefit black people at all. Smoking weed benefit the government. You know what I'm saying? So I think that they legalize it because they couldn't stop it. Whenever the government cannot stop what we doing, they legalize it and they make you pay taxes on it.
Talk.
So that's what I think it is.
Billion-dollar industry now.
Yeah, most definitely. Whenever the government get in, of course it's going to be a $1 billion industry. Same thing that they do for cocaine. You realize cocaine is really legalized, right? The dentists use cocaine. The doctors, the allopathic community use cocaine.
Wow.
You can actually buy cocaine, synthetic cocaine, over the counter. It's called benzene. It numbs your jaws. They shoot it up in your gums when they pull the teeth out. They use it they use it for pain. What y'all think all of these different opioids, all these opiate receptor drugs is in the community? These come from poppy plants. So even cocaine is legalized. It's all depending on who got it, though. The pharmaceuticals can sell as many drugs as they want. We just can't because it ain't no way to pay taxes on dope. Dope will be legal if the CIA can find a way to tax Negroes for selling keys. They wouldn't have no issue. Would nobody be locked up?
Yeah, that's why I'm just completely sober. After I done tried to kill myself, man, I'm like, I don't do nothing.
Yeah.
And hopefully I'm not taking anything that I don't know about.
Yeah, no, I got you. I mean, man, what's crazy is just walking out here and breathing in this fine air of Philadelphia's drugs. You got benzene in the air, you got chloride in the air, you got so many environmental pollutants in the air. The only thing we can do is keep praying, expanding our consciousness, and hope that our spiritual bodies, or what they call our astral bodies, and our physical bodies mutate and adapt. And that's the beautiful thing about melanin. It's kind of like cockroaches. You will never kill black people. You can try to exterminate as many as you want, but we don't die. We multiply. Facts.
This question real quick, because you say humans not supposed to eat meat.
Yeah.
I was on your YouTube channel and all that. I watch your YouTube channel. But I wanted to ask you this. Ancestors, but way back in the day and all that, they used to hunt and gather.
Yeah.
So what's your take when they used to hunt and hunt bamboos and cantaloupes?
Yeah, you're right. They've been hunting and gathering for hundreds of thousands of years. Mm-hmm. There have never been a time on earth where there wasn't a so-called black man. We have been existing since the earth been in existence. If you go back to the beginning, they were frugivores. If you go through the evolutionary process through this realm, you see that they start picking up the hunter and gatherer and eating meat. I would say this: the meat was way cleaner back then.
Okay.
The meat was organic.
Okay.
They had a special way of cooking it. But if you look at the papyruses and you study ancient Kemet and you look at the autopsies, because they did autopsies on their people before they mummified them, you will see that they had the same exact diseases we suffer with till this very day. My question is this: their air wasn't polluted back then.
Talk.
They had non-GMO foods. So GMO and hybriding, corrupt hybriding didn't exist back then because they was hybriding shit. Don't get it twisted. You see what I'm saying? They didn't have tainted water back then. So everything back then was good, but why was they suffering from the same diseases that we suffering from now? What was the common denominator?
You don't think they had the intelligence, the ancestors, to know like they shouldn't eat if it wasn't good for them? You don't think?
I mean, we got that same intelligence now, and we still eating the meat.
I think
I want y'all to answer my question. If their air was good, their water was good, everything about them was good. They didn't have GMO, genetically modified, split genes of certain different caryopsis, plants, and all of this. If everything was good back then, why? If we can pull up we can Google this stuff on the papyruses. Why are we suffering from the same diseases that they were suffering from over 10,000 years ago? What was the common denominator? You can't say the water. Their water was pure. Can't say the air. Trees was much bigger. They had a bunch of H3, which is ozone therapy. O3, ozone therapy. They had H2O2, hydrogen peroxide. They had all the things that they need to breathe in the adequate amount of oxygen to form ATP. So their air was good, their water was good, their food was non-GMO, and their meat was organic.
Medicine?
Huh? Couldn't have been the medicine. Because what was the medicine back then? The medicine back then was plants and herbs. So what was the main comment?
I'm saying the meat was
the meat and the grains.
Meat and grains.
The meat and grains, man. We still got the same diseases. Now, cancer didn't exist back then, but every other disease, you can name a disease, diabetes, all of those, them existed back in ancient Kemet.
Wow.
All of them did. They in the papyruses. They on the walls. They on the hieroglyphs. They wrote this stuff down themselves. So what's the common denominator? So just because the ancestors did it back then don't make it good. We always want to run to the ancestors. That don't make it good. You had obese ancestors. Obese. Tutankhamun. Obese. He had fatty livers. He had fat hips. He had man boobs. We talking about Tutankhamun though. So this is what I'm saying. I don't want us to always run back to the ancestors when it's time for us to justify something.
Talk.
We always have to look at where we at right now and what's happening right now to our bodies and to the self-development of our consciousness. And we are stagnant. We're way back behind. We're shifting to this fifth dimensional plane of density. And the only way we're going to be able to upgrade our DNA is the first step. We have to liberate our minds, but we're going to have to make sure we drinking and eating the adequate amount of energy. And that's our food.
So what about the water, right? Because I'm hearing all types of drink this water, drink that water. What's the best water to drink?
Well, everybody know what I push. I push H3O2. That's what I done push.
H3O2.
And it's mad funny that everybody doubted me and called me a quack. 3 years ago when I first started talking about, I'm the first black brother that started talking about, now Dr. Layla Africa talked about H3O, but I'm the first black brother that talked about H3O2. Now the whole world.
So where do you get that from?
You get it from fruits. Watermelon. Yeah, watermelon.
Oh, so you're just saying okay.
Yes,
okay.
It's highly structured water. And basically H3O2, it stands for 3 hydrogens and 2 oxygens. And basically what it is hydrogen bonds that stacks and organize themselves on top of each other due to something called an exclusion zone when they actually get activated by sunlight.
Gotcha.
So when infrared light hits the pigments, what you call anthocyanins of fruits, it goes through this thing where it pushes the water and separates it, and it charges the electrons of the water. When you charge the electrons, it literally highly organizes the hydrogen bonds on it, and it forms H3O2. And this is highly structured water that your body needs to convert into H3O for you can yield high amounts of electricity.
So you can't buy it like at a store or something. You got to just do it.
It's not, and that's what people saying. You pushing that to sell a product. I don't have a product that's H3O2. I don't sell fruits and sell vegetables, and that's where you get H3O2 from.
Wow.
So I'm not saying this just because I want to sell a product. I'm telling you, I can't sell you H3O2. You got to go spend your money or grow your own H3O2, which is free from me. So I'm not gaining anything from teaching this knowledge. Only people that's gaining from that is y'all.
That's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep. Wow. But so yeah.
So yeah, H3O2, fruit water, and I'm not knocking H2O. I realize the type of spiritual vehicles we got. I realize that our genes are superior than every other species on planet Earth, and I realize that our melanin neurotransmitters are highly organized, so we will need a highly structured, organized liquid to bring us true hydration and electrolytes. And why not go for something that's higher than your regular organized water?
Got you.
It's kind of like if you have a Mustang and a Ferrari, which one you gonna get in? The Ferrari, right?
Yeah.
All right, now is you gonna put unleaded gas in the Ferrari? You
Not
gonna
at
put that
all.
premium up
You
in
gonna
there?
put the premium.
All right, so unleaded gas is regular spring water. The premium is your H3O2. Which one you gonna put in that Ferrari?
Got you.
Not knocking it. The regular one to get you around. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna put a little bit though. If you put that supreme, authentic fuel in your body, then you get to yield a bunch of energy from it.
Peace, love, light and healing. Peace, love, light and healing. Peace to the gods, peace to the earth. Yah'Ki awakened here. We're in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, the city of boxing, the city of freedom fighters, the city of all this black historical monumental history, or her story, whichever one you want to call it. Make sure y'all come out July 30th at the world famous Met Philly at 858 North Broad Street. See y'all there.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
What's the importance of it in Hotep medicine?
I mean, when you talk about Hotep, we talking about the first beginning. Like, he's literally the first person I know that had a doctorate in medicine. If you look at ancient Kemet, when you look at Hotep,
Yeah.
But Hotep medicine, or what we call natural medicine, is good because we understand that natural medicine is food. And when we start associating food and medicine, that's when we change our perception of what food really is. If we start eating to cleanse and live and not eating for taste, it'll change our whole perception of reality. So it's not all about the herbs, and it's not like we need to stop calling it herbs and call it food. If we do that, that's educational.
Right.
If we do that and we change and shift the word and the meaning, let's quit calling it herbs and quit calling it medicine and call it food. The adolescents coming up will look at that as food. Food is essential for one to live, and now you're eating the things that's going to not only cleanse the cells, but revitalize the cells and give you the adequate amount of ATP that you need to live your everyday life. So I love Hotep medicine. I just think we need to shift and change the name of it so we can start doing the identification markers. So now when they look at herbs, they say this is food. All right, go eat your food.
Go eat
See,
your food.
which one sound
right.
better? Go eat your food. Go eat your herbs. Go eat your medicine.
Yeah,
go eat your food.
Right.
Yeah, herbs kind of.
All right, mama, let me get my food. I hate herbs. They bitter. No, that's your food. Kind of like arugula. Arugula that's an herb. Everybody think herbs is different than vegetables. Herbs are vegetables. It's vegetable. Man, how y'all think Dr. Sebi won this case? He went to the Supreme Court. They said, you've been selling medicine. He like, no, Your Honor, I've been selling food. I don't sell medicine. I've been giving them vegetable matter. And they ate food and that reversed their diseases. I didn't heal anything. They ate food that God grown and their diseases were reversed. So he never went in with a holistic doctor mindset. He went in as, I gave these people the right food to eat, and the food healed their body. So we have to change the perception.
So is that like, when they be like, oh, we have something to heal herpes and all this stuff, is that real?
I mean, yeah.
I just wanted to know because I hear people saying.
Just this month alone, brother. Just this month alone, I didn't help facilitate the healings of herpes 13 times. So, I have 1,000 herpes healing testimonies. Just people, y'all can check me out on Rumble. People getting on there showing their paperwork, and I'm doing interviews, breast cancer, herpes, HIV, syphilis, hepatitis B, leukemia.
Wow.
And this is them talking, So for me giving them food, though. Not medicine, but food. Medicine don't heal. Food is medicine if you look up the definition.
Absolutely.
And changing the perception of what we call disease. I don't believe that disease exists.
Okay.
I believe that disease was created by the CIA and the pharmaceutical companies, passed down by John D. Rockefeller. This whole big oil industry finding a way to use petroleum oil and mix it with botanicals and create medicine to fund. And you see back then when they fund all the colleges to change the curriculum, they start stripping all of the natural remedies out of the curriculum and out of the books. So I don't believe in disease. I believe that the body is perfect.
I don't believe that we can call God perfect and then say God made a mistake and gave me a genetic that was tankered or that was messed up with, and I have a cancer gene that can express itself at any moment. So now I got to go get my breast taken off or get a mastectomy or a hysterectomy. That don't even make sense when you think about it logically. If we are claiming that we are genetically superior to any other species on planet Earth, and God created us, and God is magnificent and he's omnipotent, or she, whatever one we want to identify, because the concept of God is your concept based off your traditions. Gotcha. I'm not knocking it. God is God. But if we're going to say that, then how can we say that in the same breath and then in the same breath say my body part is an enemy? Because when you say I have breast cancer, you are now deeming your breast the enemy. So now for that, I have to chemically blast it with radiation and chemotherapy, which is biological weapons of warfare created by the Germans. And the Nazis used this stuff on Germans. I mean, on Israel. Back, they used this stuff on Germans who is now Israelis. They used this stuff in chemical warfare. And these things were bought over about 40 years ago and brought into the United States from overseas, and then they used it in the allopathic community, and then they got all these immune suppressive therapies. That's what chemotherapy is. It's mustard gas. And if you look at if you Google the actual ingredients of chemotherapy, it'll tell you 100% derivative of mustard gas, and then you Google what mustard gas was. It's a biological weapon of warfare. So how is my body is an enemy? Let me show you how they think. They think you got to kill bacteria. You see that? The war on bacteria. They think you got to kill germs. The war on germs. All these things we need. They think you got to kill viruses. The war on viruses. They think you got to kill everything. So you get diagnosed with cancer. You go to the doctor, the allopathic community, do a biopsy of a cell, which I never tell anybody to let them cut these things off anyway. They biopsy your cell. They tell you have cancer. Just the thought of hearing it. This is how you know they spend thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars a month to program you to believe in this death. The moment that you get cancer or you get diagnosed with cancer, it gives you cancer anyway. Because you go into a state of fight or flight. You automatically give yourself a death sentence. This automatically lowers the magnetic microhertz of your body. It's a certain hertz that you operate at that gives you cancer anyway, or lowers your so-called immune system. Because again, I don't believe in an immune system either. All these things is education that they teach us at school to keep us enslaved. Because true freedom is knowing that, hold on, my body don't have cancer. Cancer is my body healing itself. It's a symptom. We have been programmed that these symptoms is the disease. So, but if you actually look at the physiology and the behavior of cancer, it's basically your cells creating a trash bag and putting all toxemia in it. And then they call this big pocket full of fluids, which is dead cells, toxemia, unutilized minerals. They call this trash bag cancer or disease. But if you look at what it is, it's actually a tumor pulling all the toxins from reaching the bloodstream for you won't die. So cancer is a body detoxification symptom. It's not a disease or it's not a virus. Same thing with HIV. Same thing with sickle cell anemia. Same thing with leukemia. Same thing with diabetes. These are stress-related diseases. These are stress is putting on our body, and our body is trying to detoxify. We get symptoms from the natural detoxification. We run to the doctor because they have taught us that these natural detoxification symptoms or symptomology is disease. And then instead of us basically loving our bodies, not looking at it as an enemy and helping the detoxification go further or expediting the detoxification phase, they give us suppressive therapy. And guess what suppressive therapy is? If I got a cough, you cough to break up a coagulated mucus and to get out the particles. They'll give you a cough suppressive. Right. So put the mucus back into the bronchial tubes. Right. If you got to sneeze, chew. That's to break up particles and antigens to get it out of what you would call the maxillary cavities. They give you something called Claritin to suppress the antigens in the particles. You see that? Yeah, if you itching and you got a skin irritants, they will give you cream to suppress it back into the skin to go into the bloodstream instead of allowing the skin to take a poop because your kidneys and your adrenals is not defecating on themselves. So they come with a whole different perspective. Their perspective is that your body is at war with itself. My perspective is that your body is intelligently made by God, and when you have toxins inside the body, it will naturally detoxify itself. And these symptoms is not a disease. Instead of looking at your body as an enemy and fighting your body, give your body the things it needs to help expedite the elimination pathway. And what we noticed from the last 10 years of doing this, people get healed. There is no side effects. You don't have to get your breast cut off. You don't have to get your prostate taken off. You don't have to get chemotherapy pumped into your veins. You don't have to sit under radiation and get radioactive therapy. You can do a natural thing by eating certain foods that will help the body detoxify, which is all disease is in the first place, is the body trying to heal itself. It's a difference.
So talk about the GMOs, because we not in Africa, we not in the islands, so the food we eat here, a lot of things sprayed on it.
Yeah.
So speak on that and how that affect our diet.
I mean, genetically modified foods create genetically modified Negroes. Simple as that. When you genetically splice the DNA of something, and then you go and you eat that DNA bonds with your DNA. It's called DNA or deoxyribonucleic acid modulation. Or methylation. Modulation and methylation. Y'all can look these things up. And this is the process of your food breaking down and you're yielding the phytonutrients from the food. Phytonutrients like the minerals, phytonutrients like the amino acids, and phytonutrients like the biochemicals or the bioflavonoids. The whole purpose of eating food is to extract whatever from the food to rebuild your molecular structure of what we call the cellular system. So if you eat in foods that's GMO, these things break down and bind to your DNA and changes the way your DNA structure function with itself. So if you eat GMO, genetically modified foods, you become a genetically modified people. Same thing as processed food. If you eat processed food, then you become processed. Because whatever you eat breaks down and it literally binds to your DNA to recreate what they call proteins, or what I'm going to call complex amino acid structures.
Yeah, I like how you broke that down.
Amazing.
Very well.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions in our culture. You feel me? I know you're from the culture and everything. So I wanted you to speak on the Boozy situation, him catching the Fed case and everything. What's your take on that? Your thoughts on that?
Boosie, shouts out Boosie. I just rapped with him not too long ago. I'm gonna say this to any rapper. How can I say that the right way? I don't want to start shit either. I'm gonna say this. We gotta start choosing sides, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
I can respect that.
If you're gonna be in the streets and accept whatever come with that. If you're gonna be on the conscious community, leave the shit in the streets and be all the way conscious. I just think us as people, as rappers, singers, as us humans, period, need to start choosing a side. We are at war, family. It's time to choose a side. Which side are you on? Are you on the enemy side and you further bringing destruction and death to our community? Or is you on our side and you're gonna stand up and you're gonna fight for the conscious liberation and the next steps of evolution of our people? So what I think about the situation is this. Boosie, you know I love you, brother. It's just time to choose a side with everybody. And that goes to anybody. It's time to choose a side.
That's just on man time. If a person can't respect man time, you know what I mean, then that's just, you know, that just goes to show where your mindset is at. But you didn't say nothing wrong at all, disrespectful at all. You said something, everybody, we all, including us, pick a side and stay on it.
Yeah. Just me personally, I'm not in the streets. I don't rap about being in the streets. And if I ain't in the streets and rapping about being in the streets, the only thing I can talk about with the streets is what change it needs. I can't talk about particular details that's going on in the streets because I ain't in them. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So as a man and coming from my gang culture, I always understood that. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't in the gang, you can't speak on gangs unless you have been affected by it to know what you're talking about. Absolutely. So I can sit here and talk about gangs all day because I was a part of one and I was a part of most of the destruction that went down in St. Louis between 2001 and 2006. You see what I'm saying? So I can speak on gang culture. I'm not in the streets. I'm not in the rap industry. But, I mean, we hear the words in the lyrics. We hear what's going on amongst all the rappers. It's time to choose a side. It can't be no fence straddling. You can't say free the people in one hand but talk about having a gun in the other hand, killing the same people you saying free in the other hand. So it's time to choose a side, man.
Next question. Snitching, you feel both of y'all is big in our culture, you feel me? Everybody talk about ratting and snitching. We don't like that. So what's your take on snitching?
This boy asking him deep questions, boy. No, I love it because you making me stand on my word. Sure. Again, I'm not a part of the streets. In the streets, I would say no snitching. Right now, I don't really stand for that. You know what I'm saying? If something going on in the community, I wouldn't run to the police. You know who I'm going to run to? I'm going to run to the elders that I set up in my community that got a belt that's going to whoop your ass. Or if you put your hands on a one, I believe in self-justice. I believe in getting the elders in the community and come knocking on your doors. You will get a second chance unless you touch on a child. You touch on a child and take a child innocence. You know what I'm saying? I got my own personal judgments in my head that I wouldn't even say on this television. You know, but for a person that's damaging the community and doing things in the community, I I don't think they need to go to jail because I think it can be some type of reconciliation that can go down. But I do think they need to deal with the elders and the men and the kings of the community, though. And that's why we need to build our own structures and our own communities, and inside of our communities have our own government hierarchies, and judgment should get passed down that way. The worst thing you can ever do is give your brother and sister over to an enemy just because they acting like the enemy, where we can de-escalate the situation and we can put correction right there in the community. So again, I come from gang culture. That's what we did. We didn't snitch in the streets. And I don't believe in that not snitching thing now, but in the gang community, I didn't believe in snitching. If something happened in the gang, you actually had to get your discipline, and your discipline came from the higher ups. And sometimes you had to go to them. If they in Chicago, you got to fly to Chicago. If they in wherever they at, you got to fly out there, and you got to get your just dues. You know what I'm saying? It's justice. So I believe in that. I think we need to rebuild that. I think gangs is a powerful thing if we can reorganize them and put it back where it used to be, and the whole purpose for them than what it is now. A lot of people was liberated and rehabilitated through gangs, man. And I'm just keeping it real. It's just what we doing now and what it became, man. Since it's been infiltrated by the CIA and by the FBI, that's when you start seeing all this violence come from them. But the purpose of gangs was to uplift the community. You know what I'm saying? Literally.
Yeah.
Community revolution and progress. Brotherly love over our depression. Like when you start really looking at the synonyms of these gangs, man, like they was there to, like even the Black Panther movement, how they deemed that as a gang and as cop killers and that all. But when you look what they did y'all realize most of the government programming came from the Black Panther movement?
Of course.
All these different breakfast programs and these WIC
Street
programs.
Lights and all
this
that.
stuff came from black
in
people
our community.
organizing themselves to make sure that they protected the community. These are the first brothers that really was utilizing their laws and their rights, walking around with shotguns and that. You know what I'm saying? So the whole structure of that is just bringing back the tribal instinct to a people. But when you have another people infiltrating the minds of a people, that's when it turns perverted and it gets turned into gang violence and all this other stuff. But I don't believe in that no snitching thing. I just don't believe we're supposed to be handing our people over to the government. I think you need to hand your people over to your people.
I got you. No police.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, man, because I recently they call it Fox News, worldwide Fox News. They called it assassination attempt, where our own people tried to kill me, and it's like, what do you do? Because when I was in the streets, I followed all the rules, but the rules of being a grown man, being a father, being accountable. It's like, don't snitch, don't tell on your homies, ride for your homies, die or go to jail. Follow those rules, right? Now I'm not in the streets, and it's like our ancestors died by our own people.
Yeah. So I mean, but if you are the self-tribe, which is you identify with your higher consciousness, you a citizen of the USA, you sovereign in the USA, or you in the streets. Depending on which role you identify with is what you need to do. If you a citizen and somebody commit harm, snitch. You a citizen. That's your God-given right to go snitch. Seek justice. You know, if you into building civilizations and communities, yeah, snitch, but snitch to the higher up in the government that y'all created within your own community.
But it's
you in the streets. That's why we got work to do. Yeah. You in the streets, follow the rules. Don't snitch. You in the streets. You're not a civilian. Follow the rules. So whatever you choose and whatever role you choose to stand and play in, stand on it. That's all I'm saying. Stand on it. Stand on it. Peace, brother.
What would be the number one, or which food would be the number one source of protein that you would suggest for like the 1-year-old or 2-year-old child?
He said number one source of protein, fruit, coconut, full of lipids and amino acids. Avocado. You talking about putting on stuff, right? Yeah. Avocados. And what age you said?
1, 2.
Yeah, 1 or 2.
I got an 8-year-old.
For the 8-year-olds, you can do lentil beans. That's full of proteins. Man, it's so many of them, brother. For real, all fruits and vegetables have proteins in them, though. So, yeah. So when it comes to herbal medicine or what we call cellular food, there's no particular age. It goes by weight. And that's how you know it's the difference between pharmaceutical medicines and actually herbal medicines, or what you would call cellular food, because it don't go by a specific age. It actually go by the weight content. So yeah, so I just say play around with it, because I notice when we be doing it with the children of the Yellow Dean and Hebrew, what I notice is certain fruits and vegetables build muscle on somebody else's physiology than somebody else's. So you got to play around with fruits and creations to see what assimilates with your body more than another.
Question.
So my daughter, she be 3. She was diagnosed with cancer when she was 11 months.
Mm-hmm.
She beat it last year, but she does have epilepsy. What could we give her to reverse that?
So what I noticed for epilepsy, we use cannabinoid oil. CBD is very good for that. Valerian root is very good for that. Blue verivane is very good for that.
Is there anything we can get from your website particularly?
Yeah, so epilepsy, you said she 3?
She'll be 3.
She'll be 3. I would do the geogenetic week 1 and 2 protocol, not the package. Week 1 and 2, and go by the weight. And you need to holler at me at the end if I can get you in contact with my CBD person. Okay. Amazing. I'm talking about it stops the seizures damn near within a day or 2. And these are witnesses, not B. We was working with somebody. Her daughter was how old?
15.
15.
Listen, I believe in whatever
So
you say.
yeah, I know, but you got to call out them. You got to call them witnesses though. So we done got rid of epilepsy. I ain't gonna say it. It ain't me talking about I did herpes and cancer, but it's probably a good 11 times throughout my career. So it's most definitely reversible.
I send everybody to you.
All praises. All praises.
Father, first and foremost, just want to say thank you for spending this time with us.
Oh man, I'm loving this, man. I appreciate y'all. This is amazing.
Man.
And you definitely got some strong followers that's been, listening to your every word. So definitely appreciate that.
Oh, all praises.
Bob, what would you say? What's your thoughts on fasting? What's the proper way to start a fast? What's some things that you should do, you shouldn't do? Sometimes you could fast and then break your fast and it's like ruin your whole fast.
Powerful question.
What's your thoughts on fasting? And what's the best way to do it, and some things that you do yourself?
So if you look at the definition of fast in a holistic African tradition or in a Hebraic tradition, it literally means to cover thy mouth. So fasting means to stop putting stuff in your mouth, technically. They got real spontaneous and intellectual fasting. So now you have fasting where you do dry fast, where you don't put nothing in your mouth. You have liquid fasts now where you just drink nothing but liquids. You can fast from television, playing the video games. You can do all these things. And it's basically shutting off all of your 7 gateways to your body and to your mind to rebuild the molecular structure, whether we're talking about spiritually, mentally, or physically. But I see that you're talking about physically. The best way to fast to me, since we are so systemically backed up and we are full of toxemias, is not to do all water. Because water flushes the system very quick, and you don't want to change the blood pH too fast because you can die of acidosis. So I noticed the best fast is H3O2 mono fasting. For instance, mono just means one. Fasting means stopping. So you stopping everything but one thing. So liquid fasting on a mono fruit diet. The best thing I know is coconut water. The next best thing is cucumber water. And after the cucumbers, it's watermelon. These are the best fasts. Always start off short. I say start 3 days. And once you do 3 days, if you still feel good and if you see that you're releasing a lot, then go longer and go longer. The way to break the fast, it depends on what you fasting on. If you want an all dry fast, the way to break your dry fast is on juices or water. If you want juices or water, the way to break your fast is on fruits. If you want fruits, the way to break your fast is on vegetables. If you want vegetables, the way to break your fast is on limited grains that is not mucus forming. If you want grains, the way to break your fast is on every last one I just mentioned. And then if you look at the word breakfast, it's really break fast. And you break your fast basically every morning, because when you go to sleep, you're fasting asleep. That's why they say the child is fast asleep. Fasting just means you putting your hand over your mouth and you're not eating. And the reason why God designed us to not eat when we sleep is because when you sleep is when your body is naturally going through its natural detoxification mechanism. Especially between the hours of 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. is when your body is kicking on glutathione. It's when glutathione. Your body is kicking on NRF2 pathways. You have glucoraphanin and all these other bioflavonoids that's opening up your cells for you can eliminate. That's why if you have a good digestive system, the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning, you got to do what? Pee and poop. Because you are getting rid of everything that your cells have allowed itself to eliminate while you were fasting asleep. So the purpose of fasting is to detoxify. You got that, brother?
Thank you, bro.
I have a question.
brother in the community that came up with a stem cell patch.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts on stem cell, like rejuvenation?
That's dope. Smart. I think we're getting a little carried away with the technology and stuff. You know, back in the good old days, the good old African days or the good old America days when Africans was running America, I truly believe, you know, the best patch was getting in the sun. I call it elemental magic. And these 4 things: earth, grounding, taking off your shoes, walking bare on the earth, grounding yourself out, getting as much electrons in your body to push out protons, right? So always deal with earth. The next one is water, drinking the right amount of water to have high electrolytes and minerals to literally remineralize the body and rejuvenate the cells. All right. The third one is the breath, oxygen. Bring oxygen to the cells because oxygen, every process of the cell in the body requires oxygen molecules. There's not one cell in your body that can survive without oxygen. The moment that it misses oxygen, it goes through something called an anaerobic process, and fermentation and putrefaction set in. That's what causes malignant cells and mutation cells that causes cancer. You see that? Now, what we got? We have earth, we had water, we had wind, which is oxygen. Last but not least is what, y'all? Fire, which is what? The sun. Get your black ass in the sun. And the reason why is because there's not one cell in your body that doesn't go through photonic synthesis, or what we'll call photonic photosynthesis. Just like plants go through photosynthesis and they use the UV rays of the sun and it hits something called chlorophyll. Inside of chlorophyll, you have these cells called chloroplasts, and then you have these different melanins created called anthocyanins by the plants, and this creates glucose, which is cell currency that you call sugar. It creates oxygen. A lot of people don't know without the sun there would be no oxygen. What creates oxygen is the sun. So get in front of the sun. So you need, yeah. Yeah.
Working the sun all day, you know what I do.
Or if you look at it like this too, even without the sunblock, all of the different radiation that they put in the air, all of the carbon dioxide that's in the air, all the different these fires that these accidental fires that's happening. All of this is to block the sun. And Bill Gates, y'all see the new technology he have out now too, where he's trying to cloak the sun and block it out. So the reason why they're attacking the sun, because we are solar people and we are children of the sun. Without the sun, we can't survive. And that's the reason why the sun has been deified so much. You know, the Son of God walked upon the face of the waters. And if you get up every morning and you go to the ocean, you will see the sun walking on the water. So, you know, that's why the sun is deified. Amen Ra. Ra means what? Sun God. Every religion and every culture, they deify the sun because we essentially need the sun to coexist with the earth. Because there is not one cell in your body that doesn't go through photomodulation. Not one cell. So every cell in your body needs sunlight. Every cell in your body needs oxygen. So elemental magic. Use the elements to heal. So instead of getting patches and working with stem cells and working with all these technologies, use those 4 things. Earth, wind, water, and the sun. The natural resources that God created for us to sustain in anyway.
So real quick, not to cut nobody from the question, I had a question for my own help. I got asthma, and I spoke to Brother Bernard about it. What can I do besides taking that albuterol? Because I don't take no medicine, so but I need
albuterol is a steroid that's created by your adrenal glands. Whenever you got asthma, you have to look at what controls the functioning of your lungs and the dilation and constriction of your bronchial tubes.
So I was smoking every day, like you said.
Yeah.
I'm 40 clean.
So this is something called the autonomic nervous system, or what they call the parasympathetic or the sympathetic nervous system. This is actually controlled by the adrenal glands. So you need to go after the adrenal glands, clean up the adrenal glands, get all the mucus out of the lungs and all the toxemias out of the bronchial tubes. And once your adrenal glands is back online, now your fight or flight will go down, and you will have something actually controlling the constriction and the dilation of the vessels leading to the alveoli of the lungs, for you can get that adequate amount of breath in your body. So that's adrenal glands. So we're looking at things like licorice root. Licorice root is very good as a tea. That's good for your adrenal glands. Yep, you got wild yam root. Wild yam root is very, very good for the adrenal glands. All right, you got ashwagandha root. Ashwagandha root is very good for the adrenal glands. But while you simultaneously putting the adrenal glands back online to kick on that sympathetic nervous system, you got to cleanse all the mucus and obstructions out of the lungs. Mullein leaf is very good to open up the lungs and cleanse mucus out of the lungs. Coat's foot is very good to open up the lungs and cleanse mucus out of the lungs. Fenugreek and hydrangea roots break up crystallization and stagnation of mucus that's logged into different parts of the lungs. Or you can just get
the kit that you want, which is the geogenetic therapeutic
So
package.
That's what I was like.
Yeah, you got everything you need in the package.
Say,
Everything you need in the package.
amazing package.
So my question is, what would you recommend for people who don't want to smoke marijuana? How can we reap the benefits of it, and how can we get in touch with you? I've been trying to get in touch with you for quite a while. I had a mom who was sick; she recently passed.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Sorry, no.
Thank you. I wanted to know.
Let's give a moment of silence for your mama real quick.
Give thanks.
May the ancestors be with her. Ashe. Okay, now what you were saying?
Just how to get in touch with you, because my family basically does natural healing, and I need someone who we can grab some, get some healing from.
So, www.yahkiawaken.com. If you go to the contact us or get in touch with, you can actually dial the number. Brother Bernard gonna answer. He answer every time. The phone do ring off the hook all day. I bet you it's ringing right now in St. Louis. So, Brother Bernard, you can also reach us at orders with an S, at yahkiawaken.com. That's how you get in contact with us.
Okay. And the marijuana piece.
He will answer though. I call him every day.
Yeah, he gonna answer. He gonna answer. So marijuana use, the best way to use them is as a tea. As a tea.
Okay.
Best way. Boil it just like you boil any other herb. And add sweetener to your likeness. I like to add honey to mine. That's really the only, Manuka honey, that's really the only sweetener I add to anything. I really don't use sativia, and I damn sure don't use agave.
And so what's the deal? I heard that the THC doesn't pass through the water or something like that. It won't go into the water. I don't.
Well, the claim is that THC is not water soluble.
There you go.
But we see otherwise though, because we still see a very, very high effect when you use the tea. Actually, you get a more indican body high than a sativa head high when taking the tea. So I would like to challenge that. I haven't brought that to the laboratory and did the test on there to say that, but just by looking and observing from clinical trials, people get high as hell from taking the tea. So that'll knock that myth out of there as well. Now, through the lipids, when you use a lipid, it is going to carry it further because the lipid is going to go through the liver, and the liver will disperse it through all the other cells by way of the gallbladder. So you will get a further high or a further healing modality by putting it in the oil. But, I mean, the water do just as good as well. The high just ain't going to be as long. But you ask anybody that use marijuana tea, the THC works.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually have a question. I want to hear your view on mushrooms. I'm really into mushrooms, as food.
I love mushrooms.
I hear a lot of
Now,
people talk about
mushrooms or the pimples of the earth. I'm not going to lie. Meaning they clean earth of all its toxicity. That's where you get the psychedelic attributes from the mushrooms, from all the toxemias that it's pulling from the earth. But if you look at what it's doing, since it's pulling toxemia from the earth and neutralizing it, if it's neutralizing toxemias that come from the mycelium network of the earth, that means they have a bunch of healing attributes and biochemicals and bioflavonoids in there to become a buffering to actually buffer out and neutralize all the acids from the earth. So when you eat a mushroom, all of those bioflavonoids and all of those melanins and all of that good monosaccharides you need to rebuild the molecular structure, and the reason why it's the texture that it is because it has all these neutralizing healing chemicals in it because it acts as a pimple. Remember, the pimple on the body is a way to extract toxemias out of the body. That's why if you cut a pimple open, you're going to see lymph, or what they call pus, and you're going to see a little blood. But if you check the pus is going to have monosaccharide sugars in it. It's going to have T cells in it, which is called thymus gland cells, B cells, which is bone marrow cells, macrophages, which eats acids, and it's going to have phagocytes, which engulfs toxemia, and it disintegrates it and break it down. Ironically, you find these same things in the pimple of the earth that we call mushrooms. So the mycelium network is amazing. I say eat most of them raw. Just do not eat portobello raw because it's very, very toxic to the brain and to the heart. So if you're going to eat portobello, cook them. But all the rest of them, I say eat raw. And you can eat lion's mane raw. It's amazing. But a cooked lion's mane tastes just like a steak. I'm just going to put that out there. So I do believe in eating mushrooms. They are very, very alkaline. But yes, they are the pimples of the earth, and they suck up all toxemias. But they suck up toxemias because they are great healers. No, you can't. Yeah, you need to be on fruits and vegetables only.
So thank you very much for sliding through. You feel me? Coming to Acaf and everything. Hopefully we have you in the future and everything. I know you got the show coming up, so you want to talk about that before you wrap it up?
Yeah, July 30th. Shouts out to Sarah from Nourish, which is sitting right here. Shouts out to Brother Harrison, Hands on Healing Temple. They bringing me out to the Met, Philly, on July the 30th. Yah'Ki Health and Liberation Tour. We're going to be bringing vital information that nobody have ever heard. I promise you that. This is coming from me channeling the ancestors, and I proved it to be true through my clinical trials. We also going to be giving away thousands of seeds. We're giving away herbs. We're selling herbs. It's going to be a good experience. It's going to be sound bowl healing there. Sarah's bringing her nourished food there. It's going to be an amazing time. And it's time to raise the vibration of the collective. And it's time to find our true tribal self. And I want to close this out with a prayer in Hebrew, if possible.
Of course, yeah.
Let's bow our heads. Spread forth our hands. Yabareka Yahweh Veishmerika Yahweh Yair Ponav Elika Vikuneka Yasa Yahweh Ponav Elika Ve'asem Laka Shalom Ve'asem Laka Shalom Yabareka Yahweh Ve'ishmerika Yahweh Yair Ponav Elika Vikuneka Yasa Yahweh Ponav Elika Ve'asem Laka Shalom Ve'asem Laka Shalom. Amen. Ashe, Ashe, oh. I said it in English. May the Most High bless us. May the Most High keep us. The Most High shall bless us. The Most High shall keep us and shine His face upon us and give us mental peace. Amen.
So when you go outside, the moment you wake up, you are at war. There's a people creating things that are killing us, and then they are actually killing you and selling you the antidote.
Just how powerful is food? The biggest agricultural exporters in the world are the EU and the US, which together account for roughly $300 billion a year. In 1976, the US Secretary of Agriculture said, "Food is a weapon," alluding to the use of food to promote US goals and as a tool against difficult countries.
They're selling death, and guess who's buying it? Us. What type of life is that? And what are we going to do about it? We are at war, whether you want to accept that fact or not. So my question is, who ready to fight back? Who ready to fight back?
Peace, 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 love, light and healing, peace, love, light and healing, peace to the gods, peace to the earth. Yah'Ki awakened here. We're in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, the city of boxing, the city of freedom fighters, the city of all this black historical monumental history, or her story, whichever one you want to call it. I wanted to give a shout out to Sarah from Nourish.
Peace and love, y'all. It's Sarah from Nourish, and you know I'm all about health and wellness, and we're bringing some healing to the city, very much so in need, with master herbalist and healer Yah'Ki Awaken.
And I also wanted to give a shout out to Brother Harrison from Hands on Healing.
Peace, peace. It's Harrison Hand here, creator of Hands on Healing Temple, and we're in the city of brotherly love. Come and show your brother Yah'Ki some love. I'm excited to provide a sound healing session for us all so we can cultivate some high vibrational energies within this space, just to bring some high energies within our lives so we can vibrate within peace, love, tranquility, and joy. Peace.
I love y'all. We bringing something together that's going to be very, very amazing. They doing massages, they doing sound healing. You're going to have some good food here. We are really raising the bar when it comes to health, liberation. It comes to sustaining. It's come to being self-sustaining, really true seed sovereignty from soil to table. We just want to show y'all how to be independent growers. We want to show you how to be an independent healer, to truly take food and take your natural environment and heal yourself.
We want to welcome Yah'Ki Awaken to Philly. You know, it's a blessing to have a brother come here on our spiritual journey, our health journey. You know, the Most High blessing us, blessing our family to be able to experience what we're about to experience. Philly's coming, you know, here too. You want to say anything about Yah'Ki?
Absolutely. Yah'Ki Awaken has been a true, absolute blessing to our family. He has saved our lives.
Yes.
He has saved my son's life. Anything you want to say?
I just want to say that Yah'Ki saved my life, and the herbs that he gave me work, and I'm thankful.
We love you, Yah'Ki.
We love you, Yah'Ki. Welcome to Philly, brother.
Absolutely.
When mucus is actually expectorated from the body, what it does is it trips the thyroid, and the thyroid and the parathyroid is something called calcitonin. It will alert the bone matrix, and it will strip calcium from the bone. And what calcium is your most electrical mineral to the human body. Say that with me. Calcium is the most electrical mineral in the human body. Iron phosphate is the most electrical magnetic mineral in the human body. Make sure y'all come out July 30th at the world famous Met Philly at 858 North Broad Street. See y'all there.